Hello, Joel. That is your real name. Hello, Muppet. Hello, Fitz. Yeah, I'm sorry the stream is so late. For some reason, every ReZero stream always ends up being at like 9 o'clock. But it took so many hours to, render and upload the Phase 8 video, so... So if you're a gold or a diamond member, you can watch the Phase 8 video. Funnily enough, somebody commented on it. I don't know how that's possible. Somebody who's not a member. That's funny. It is definitely marked members only, so I don't know how that happened. Oh well. Hello everyone. This is the first stream being caught up to ReZero, right? Huge. Hello, Jaro. Hello, Availing. Hello, Bio. Yeah, streams will usually not be this late. Just, like I said, unfortunate timing for everything. One chapter behind, but true. Shut up. Oh, you know what? That's what I should update the bot to say if it's not officially, quote-unquote, officially released by, Witchcult Translations, then shut up. Don't say anything. Keep chat discussion limited to chapters posted by Witchcult Translations. Avoid discussing MTLs. How's your day been? I spent my entire day making a video, so it's been fun. There we go, okay. That should be better. My insomnia is paying off. 6 AM here? Jesus Christ. What are you doing all that for? Welcome everyone though. Not the dog name chapter. Hope reading ReZero goes well. Thanks, man. It's always kind of exhausting reading on stream. Oh my god, is that Caper, the guy who's not caught up? No way! What are you doing here? Can I kick Bartol from stream? Why? I've been doing vids all day, but with animating? Yeah, it's tough, man. I'll just avoid spoilers like a boss. You know I'm reading a chapter. Maybe the chapter will be uneventful, though. You know, maybe you won't get spoiled at all because nothing will happen. Maybe it'll be like an MHA chapter. I just want to kick him? Okay. Treat my diamond member with respect, Gyro. I'll just dodge the words. Yo, Jake Core? God, I hope it's not like an MHA chapter. It was a joke, I swear. Chill. It's fine. I don't think there's never been a ReZero chapter that's made me as frustrated as an MHA chapter, so it's fine. We're safe. I thought of delaying the stream until Tuesday for a second there, because this was so late, but I just decided to say fuck it and just do it. This is the MHA chapter of all time. Okay, guys, while I have you become a Diamond member, please, 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 I'm begging you, where's Todd? Yeah, we need members, man. What's so special about this chapter? Nothing. I'm just caught up now, so I'm reading as they come out now. Well, I mean, there could be something special about the chapter, I have no fucking idea. Initially, I was going to read MTLs, and then read Human TL, or Witch Cult release on stream. But then chapter 29 actually came out, and I thought about the prospect of MTLing it and reading it, and I was like, man, that sounds awful. That sounds like shit. So I didn't do it. So I really don't know what's going on in this one. The following one is so good. How do you know? You have Google Translate read it for you. Alright. We're just gonna get right into this one because it's late. Don't plan on keeping everyone here for super long. You stopped reading at mid-arc 7, so I'm mostly clueless? Holy shit. Can I ask what you're doing here? What chapter? He said the following one, so I thought he was referring to 30. But yeah, I don't plan on keeping you guys here forever. So my first immediate thought was that this guy looks like Hawks when I saw this art. I was like, damn, why is Hawks on screen anyway? MJ parallels go hard. Translation note, the title for this chapter has a double meaning. The way it is written uses kanji for love, meaning I did not want to love, but the conjugation, oh my god, makes it read as, yeah, which would have the meaning of I did not want to meet. Okay. I don't envy translators, man. Like, having to translate this shit into English, which can't have things like this, that sounds so hard. As always, thank you, Witch Cult Translations, for translating all this shit, posting it for us to read. Shout out to Garkar. Not only based YouTube member, but also Japanese to English checking. Isn't that huge? And also human translated 2 parts. That's fucking massive. Also, shout out to Shadow. Braver than any US Marine. And also proof for this chapter. And shout out to Serdan, I don't fucking know, man. Another YouTube member, also proofread the chapter. That's huge. I don't know these other guys, so sorry. Standing atop a hill, the man gazed out toward the distant horizon. The sun had already long since set, and the poor village, lacking in light sources, was no match for the dead of night. All the more so, with many of the male laborers injured and with fewer bonfires than usual, the sight of a man standing in the darkness seemed very strange to the girl's eyes. Bandits had been raiding villages in the vicinity, and her hometown bore the brunt of the raids, having just suffered major losses such as livestock, food, and the men becoming injured. But even so, it was a silver lining of a dark cloud that the village had not perished, and the person atop the hill could also be said to be one part of that good fortune. When the bandits had attacked the village, the men who resisted were killed or wounded, and the women and children were captured one after another. Sorry, I looked to my right and I just saw, where is Groovy? Shut the fuck up. As the girl was facing the possibility of being sold or of going through something even worse, appearing there were soldiers who had been dispatched from the capital, including the man atop the hill. They surrounded the bandits in the blink of an eye and annihilated them with little resistance. Afterward, they were stationed near the village to help protect and rebuild it, responding rapidly, and the village obtained a more sturdy fence than it had before it had fallen victim to the bandits. If the injuries of the men healed, the village would be secure for the time being. Like the grown-up women, the young girl was busy bustling about, tending to the wounded, serving food to the soldiers, and taking care of the village's children. On her way home, after she had finished working, she spotted the man atop the hill. The sight of the man, silent, staring into the darkness of night, could be described as comical. Deeds akin to staring into the darkness, where there was likely nothing to be seen, were the height of futility. The value of acts that did not lead to results was not recognized, such was the harsh way of the Empire. However, the man did not look comical to the eyes of the young girl. The man looked into the distance with undivided attention, as if he were trying to ascertain something that the others could not see. And what happened next was because she was irresistibly curious about what exactly he was trying to see. Would it not be more comforting to count the stars in the sky than to look out into the darkness? The next thing she knew, she called out to the man's back. The man turned around with a slight surprise in his eyes, which made her somewhat proud. This encounter between a girl and a king would become a fairy tale that would go on to be recounted for a very, very long time. Oh wow, okay, I see. You know, if I were taking notes. If I were taking notes, I feel like this line is something that you could delve into. I'll probably do that later. I don't know how I'm gonna handle the Phase 3 video. I think when Phase 3 wraps up or something, I might just, like, reread the entire phase and then go from there. Won't have to fucking live blog it, that'll be nice. That reunion was something that could not have been foreseen. Perhaps it ought to be called a cruel twist of fate, or a strange stroke of chance. In the midst of the unprecedented peril that had befallen the Valikian Empire, the full face of the great disaster had become known by almost everyone simultaneously. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but actually there was unprecedented peril that had befallen the Valikian Empire. The march of the undead risen from the grave had plunged all the living into the midst of mayhem. However, there were those who experienced that inevitable plunge into mayhem and managed to crawl out of it. Regardless of the physical degree of strength, they could rise as beings of immense mental and spiritual strength. In the eyes of mediocre and ordinary people, they were perceived as heroes and exceptional beings. Often, such formidable individuals were also physically strong, but their actions significantly influenced the fate of the Imperial capital either way. The horrid surprise attack on the living, the strike of the Great Disaster, had resulted in casualties below what was initially expected. Huge. Okay, analysis, guys. Here's my analysis. Valikia is having an unprecedented amount of peril. People are living as well. That's cool. That was because at the outset of the initial mayhem, individuals who should have rightfully been counted among the exceptionals were engulfed by the initial ambush much quicker than they could rise above it. Before the unprecedented peril were the flames of war engulfing the Empire during the unprecedented peaceful reign of His Excellency the Emperor Vincent Valikia. True? Thank God we have chat to keep us in line. A faint breath escaped from the lips, and consciousness gently drifted towards awakening. The eyelids, framed by long lashes, quivered. Like the sun that fears the dawn, the eyes slowly began to reflect the world. Once, twice, the blue eyes blinked. In an instant, the ephemeral dream burst, and consciousness firmly settled into reality. Why so early in the morning? Well, it's not morning. Hastily sitting up on the spot, the sight that was reflected in those eyes was an unfamiliar place. The room had a high ceiling, and both the materials of the walls and floors along with the craftsmanship were top-notch. Fine furnishings adorned the luxurious room, giving it an air of nobility at a glance. The fact that they were lying on a soft bed in this spacious room only added to their realization, and the realization itself was peculiar. It was a fact that, when compared with the memories that immediately preceded it, this was extremely unnatural. I should have been participating in the battle for the Imperial capital. They reflected upon themselves that way. Instantly, they recalled a world where both heaven and earth were painted with crimson, along with the memory of working hard together with their miraculously reunited daughter to try and comfort a weeping child. Quite literally, it was a situation in which their hands were burning, but the attempt itself should have been successful. However, they had found themselves in such a place. It was far too incomprehensible. My kimono. After thinking that far, they belatedly noticed the unfamiliar sensation of the touch of their own hand resting on their chest. Looking down at their own body in the bed, the attire adorning their limbs was not their familiar kimono, but a blue dress made with fabric of the highest quality, which also exuded an air of luxury. Oh my god, guys. It's just like Emilia waking up in Regulus's... Oh my god, guys, Regulus is back? Their tied-up hair was now undone, and it seemed that both their hair ornaments and earrings had been removed. All of those items were irreplaceable to themselves, and were things that they would have never parted ways with, even while unconscious. Hast thou awoken, O star of mine? Oh, God.
I'm sorry.
What the fuck was that?
Don't worry. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. Just as they were about to leave the bed and search for their lost ornaments, they heard that voice. The voice, which unexpectedly struck their eardrums, stole every bit of their brain's activity without exaggeration. It should have been in all lowercase. Why? The voice was uttered from the entrance of the room, which was adorned with elegant and dazzling furnishings that were captivating enough to seize one's gaze. However, none of that entered their vision whatsoever. As if their ears had been ensnared, as if their heart had been ensnared, their consciousness was drawn in that direction. For them, for Yorna Mashigure, that was unavoidable. With eyes wide open, Yorna, still on the bed, was fixated on the figure standing at the entrance. There stood a petite figure. They were significantly shorter than Yorna, who was already tall for a woman, and their slender frame gave the impression of a child. However, he was a handsome man with sharp facial features. His hair, a shade of green that neared black, reached down to his shoulders, and the unhealthy deep shades around his eyes that suggested displeasure seemed to vividly reflect their unfriendly personality. Damn green hair, huh? I made assumptions that it was just black hair. Silly me. It's that Thorn Man, probably? It definitely is that Thorn Man. However, Yorna knew that in reality, it was just that people feared him, and he did not try to keep people at a distance. In fact, he had not tried to distance himself from her. Even when facing his final moments, he had sincerely refused to distance himself. So right now, Yorna knew that was why she was here. Because she knew. The black hair was presumably a trait from the family Vincent's mother. Yeah, I should have, I mean, it's just kind of what I pictured him as. I know that, like, clearly not everyone has black hair, like Priscilla and Lamia, right? Your Excellency, is it? A strange manner of speaking, but I shall allow it. All that is concerned with thy soul, I shall allow. Harboring a thought utterly unbelievable, Yorna posed a question, and that man of small build answered so. He's so unsettling, bro. Like, standing in the doorway, right? Being a fucking creep. So ominous. Terribly blunt, cold, and pregnant with melancholic weight. For such a short declaration, that voice was packed with so much emotion that it seemed like it would burst apart. A twink, yeah. Yeah, the only difference between his imposing image is that he's a twink. That was the excess of obsession present within himself, and the source of that obsession was love. Pregnant with hostility. Yeah, that was the first thing I thought of as soon as I read the word pregnant again. Look, it's not that you can't use the word pregnant, okay? It just reads a little silly to me personally, okay? That's all. That's all. It's not that big a deal. It just reads a little silly. The man before her eyes was in love with Yorna Mashigure. That was not understood because he possessed a special power as a result of being loved by Yorna. But rather, it was a powerful emotion so abundantly clear that it would be immediately obvious to anyone else if they were present in the room. But then again, it was absolutely impossible for any other person to be present here. After all, this was A tryst after a period of near 300 years. None shall pose a hindrance to myself and thee. I like how he talks a little different too. I don't know if it's like a result of him being from so long ago or if he's just like a role player, you know? But he talks a little differently too, it's cool. Finished lunch? Hello. Vehicle. Show me thy face. Even if thy form is altered, I wish to behold a glimpse of thee from like close by. I mean, it makes sense, like, obviously, because he was the one who imposed the... It was called, like, commandment's a loaded word, right? So it's not that. It's the, what's the fucking word that it's used? The what of thorns. What is it called? Not the king of thorns either. It's the... Is it the commandment of thorns? I don't remember exactly. The binding of thorns, yes. So it's interesting that it's to be expected, but also it's interesting that he can immediately tell it's her. King's a creepy twink, isn't he? Yeah. As the man slowly approached her as he spoke those words, Yorna's heart trembled. Just what sort of emotion that was a result of, she herself could not clearly tell. Of course, there was joy in this impossible reunion, and it made her feel the urge to jump into his chest. However, at the same time, there were 300 years worth of reasons as why she would not do such a thing. The most recent decades, for the moment, were the biggest reason why Yorna did not act so impulsively. Hence, Yorna harbored conflicting emotions concerning the man approaching her, and her lips quivered. Your Excellency Ugard Valakia. Oh, what a fucking nerd name. Dude rolled low, bro. That's tough. I guess I should have also expected, the King of Thorns to be resurrected too. Which is funny, because I just finished recording the Phase 8 script today, right? And in that script, I talk about who I think could be revived. And even this whole time, while editing it, while recording it, I never once thought, I was like, oh man, I wonder about the King of Thorns. just never fucking thought about it, man. At her call, the man halted his step, and Yorna tightly shut her lips. Since he halted his step upon being called so, then she had not mistaken him. Oh my goodness. Where Groovy? That's a great question. Hello, Seal. If that's how you say her name. If not, sorry. There was no way that she could mistake him in the first place. Even if anyone else would have mistaken for another person, only for Yorna was it impossible to ever mistake him. Only for Yorna, no. Only for this soul that started out as a girl named Iris was it utterly impossible to mistake the one known as the King of Thorns, Ugard. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I mean, obviously, I guess nobody knows if they're saying it right? Except for the people who saw it in Japanese. Iris and the King of Thorns. It was a fairy tale recited in this world since long ago, and simultaneously, it was an old story of historical fact. A story known for the meeting and separation of the girl known as Iris and the Valakian Emperor known as the King of Thorns, as well as the tragic conclusion depicted therein. Iris' soul did not ascend to heaven, and instead it was fettered to the vast lands of the Empire, resulting in the existence of Yorna Mishigure after reincarnating many times. And the one who fettered Iris' soul to the vast lands of the Empire was none other than the King of Thorns, Ugard Valakia. So, I mean, I feel like there has to be... Well, I guess there doesn't have to be. I wonder if there's some level of resentment, you know? Because, like... Hey, you made me live and die a fuck ton. And there wasn't even, like, a benefit. Like... like, I didn't even get to hang out with you. So there's gotta be some underlying sentiment of, like... Hey, fuck you, man. In other words, this was an unwritten epilogue to the story of Iris and the King of Thorns. That could never be such a beautiful tale. Slowly shaking her head, Yorna suppressed the urges she felt in her heart. A reunion with Ugard, okay. A reunion with Ugard after an undesired parting. One could say that such a thing had been Yorna's dearest wish. In that sense, one could also probably say that this was the very moment that her dearest wish was granted. However, that would be incorrect. The reunion Yorna had envisioned did not take this form. I did not wish to see you with such a face and eyes, Your Excellency. As it seemed the malicious nature of fate was ridiculing her, Yorna looked to Ugard, while bearing a sorrowful ire. Having halted his step, Yorna's beloved emperor received her gaze. He, with pallid skin and golden irises, had been completely altered from the form which Yorna knew. She did not know what had exactly happened to him, but she was confident that Ugard's form was unusual, and that it would definitely not bestow any positive influence upon her or her beloved children. With a completely altered form, Ugard had achieved an impossible resurrection. If by some chance this unfamiliar place she had awoken in was a room of the Crystal Palace, the worst possibility passed through her mind. It feels like... How does this feel like ChatGPT? This is very legible. The possibility that some sort of absurd situation had occurred and the state of the Empire had changed. Your Excellency, my lord, just what in the world has happened for you two? There was as many stories to be exchanged as there were tears to be shed, yet Yorna tried to shake those feelings off, attempting to ask what needed to be asked. However, oh star of mine. See, this is definitely a chapter I'm gonna have to go over again at some point for the Phase 3 video. Yorna's intended question was silenced by Ugard's simple gesture of raising a finger. It was not the gesture itself that sealed Yorna's lips. Along with it came a sharp pain that constricted her heart, compelling her silence. The sharp pain pierced her heart, and instead of a question, a moan spilled from her throat. Yorna reflexively clutched at her chest, and a glance revealed a design of her dress, on her dress that had not been there before. Thorns of ashen hue had been added. These thorns spiraled around the center of her chest, slipping through her pale skin and reaching inward. Holy fuck. This whole situation is very slightly Regulus coded, I cannot deny it. They thrust their spikes into Yorna's heart, causing a tremendous pain that overwhelmed her entire body. Trying to touch them was futile. They would slip through Yorna's fingers, remaining intangible. As her thoughts were clouded with pain, what flashed through Yorna's mind was Ugard's alias. Successive Valachian emperors were called by various names based on their governing style, and the conquests they achieved, but the title signifying Ugard was the Emperor of the Briar. Oh. That's kind of hard, man. Quite literally, Ugard had the power to bind and subjugate others with the pain of thorns. After all, Ugard subjugated his imperial subjects with untouchable thorns he had planted, and he was the great emperor who used pain and fear to expand the Empire's territories into what they currently are. He's a goddamn American. Tormented by unbearable pain, Yorna's throat quivered as she gasped for breath. It's a League of Legends reference? Shut the fuck up. And then she remembered. In the midst of that battle concerning the Imperial capital, after she and Priscilla had subdued the crying and raging Archaea, just what kind of defeat had she suffered? It was nothing at all. Enthralled by the sudden appearance of Ugard, Yorna was unable to avoid the binding of the thorns. And then, holding both the bound Yorna and the unconscious Archaea, Priscilla found herself facing off against Ugard, and behind him, many beings with golden eyes. Prissa, is she safe? Did Prissa take an L, bro? No way. She probably just conceded. She saw like 300 zombies and she was like, man, my bad. I give up. This question was posed amidst sharp, intense pain. The fact that her lips, which previously only let out moans enduring the pain, could form a coherent question was purely because her feelings surpassed her suffering. In truth, the pain she felt had not wavered in the slightest. Ugard did not loosen the binding of thorns. Whether the victim was Yorna or anyone else, it mattered not. To begin with, Ugard's actions were not aimed at venting anger or chastisement. For Ugard, planting thorns and binding others were acts as natural as breathing. I mean, it's definitely interesting that the binding applied to her soul or something, right? That's crazy. I might just be having, a Rizio fan moment where I forget if it really went into the specifics of how Yorna's soul was dragged basically back and didn't get to go to Ode Laguna. That is very interesting. Just as people walk on 2 feet, Ugard bound others with thorns. The cries and the blood that flowed from those pierced deeply by these spikes were nothing more than means for him to interact with others. Therefore, being with him meant being together with his pain. Recalling this through personal experience, a faint smile played on Yorna's lips as she posed her question. The 2 who were with me at that place, are they safe? If thou were with them, they did not catch mine eye. What falls within mine sight, O star of mine, is not but thee. Is that so? Ugard's response to her repeated inquiry was not what she had desired. But hearing the tone of Yorna's voice worsened by this, Ugard narrowed his eyes, as if contemplating something. However, the witch hath brought some living beings into the castle. Perhaps those of whom thou spoke are amongst them. At Ugard's addition, Yorna drew a sharp breath. Distinct from the indigo eyes of her memories, Ugard had a golden radiance housed within those black eyeballs, but the gentle gaze he gave Yorna and his tactless consideration seemed unchanged from his original self. Feeling a pain, one separate from the thorns squeezing her heart. If that is the case, Your Excellency, I have a request. A request? That a witch, was it? The one whom the witch brought in. I wish to ascertain if they are my companions. For Yorna, who did not fully understand the current situation, the highest priority at the moment was the well-being of those 2. If that were to be granted, wilt thou give up on death, O star of mine? The words uttered by Ugard pierced Yorna's chest once more with a different sort of pain. As Yorna raised her face without releasing any vocalization, Ugard looked down on her. Hearing Ugard's words, Yorna was unable to say anything at once. There was no way she could say something like, "What nonsense," that had unmistakably pierced Yorna's true motives. Her soul fettered to the vast lands of the Empire. She was resurrected with a new name and a different body each time she died. Repeating that over and over, Yorna, Iris, harbored a desire. Ugard Valakia had seen right through that. Blood is something that cannot be disputed. And the very same thing had also been seen through by Vincent Valakia. For that reason, Yorna had chosen to join forces with Vincent, and to throw herself into the battle to recover the Imperial capital from traitors. Of course, the collapse of the Demon City played an important role, but Yorna thought it dishonest of herself when she was lost on where her intent truly lay. That was why Yorna nodded at Ugard's question. If it saves the lives of those children, then my death is but a trifling matter. That shall do fine. I shall grant thy request, O star of mine. As Yorna smiled through the pain, Ugard nodded with no change in his expression. This relationship is insane. Then he resumed his halted step, came right before Yorna's eyes, and gently touched Yorna's cheek with his outstretched hand. Contrary to that affectionate hand motion, his fingers were cold, and in proportion to the distance he had closed, the spikes of the thorns pierced her more deeply. Wait for a brief moment. In both heart and body, Yorna felt that piercing pain. Letting go of her, Ugard left those words behind as he turned his back to her. As always, he was quick to decide on his actions. While bearing such deep emotions, Yorna issued a question to the back, heading for the door of the room. What happened to the kimono I was originally wearing, as well as my hair and ear ornaments? They were not to mine liking, but they were articles which hast adorned thee. I have set them aside. Speaking thus, Ugard gestured to a shelf beside the bed, and concluded his reply to Yorna without wasting any more words. Proceeding to exit the room, the candidness of Ugard was undoubtedly that of the man which Yorna knew. During his lifetime, he always lived fast and recklessly, as if he was always pressed for time. Wanting to tell him that there was no need to rush, Iris once lined up next to him, just like a helpless little girl. Loosely shaking her head, Yorna slipped out from the bed and reached for the shelf. Opening the drawer, Yorna's kimono and obi were carefully folded. And there was also a pouch that contained her hair ornaments and earrings, making her let out a sigh of relief. Perhaps because that sense of relief was too great. An unusually feeble sound leaked from her throat, and at the same time, a heat ran through her cheeks. Her body bending forward, Yorna tightly clenched her teeth and choked back a sob. She could not allow the likes of tears to flow. That was a curse that would revert the firmly constructed flamboyant, the mistress of the demon city known as Yorna Mashigure, into the mere village girl, Iris. To return to being Iris would mean to narrow her focus down to only just one person whom she loved. In these 300 years up until now, she had been someone's child, someone's parent, someone's wife. To return to being Iris would mean to pretend that all of those days gone by had never even happened. Isn't her hair ornaments important? I forgot why. Yeah, because of soul marriage. Why, Your Excellency? Why now? Prissa, the residents of the Demon City, many of the people living in this empire, she wanted to remain as herself who loved them. The pain of the thorns asserting themselves through spikes within her heart was trying to make her forget all of that. That nostalgic, sweet pain was enough to drive her mad, and frighteningly, Yorna could not resist it. She could not resist it. Wow. Solid chapter. I enjoyed it. This is definitely something I'll have to go back through, though. It's ironic how the perfect foil to Yorna as a person is her own lover. Yeah. It's also, obviously, like, when you hear things through fairy tales, right? You get a different perception. Everyone has a kind of, like, romanticized perception of the King of Thorns, Iris and the King of Thorns, right? But then you see Ugard, and he's fucking weird. He's very off-putting. He's very strange. And, like, those thorns basically, like, not exactly manipulate people, right? Like, the pain that he can put people through. I guess it can be manipulating. And it seems like Yorna has a very complicated feeling towards Ugard, like the mix of pain and stuff like that. Is Zombie Ugard going to replace what we perceive Zombie Stride's role would be? I don't know what you guys perceive Zombie Stride's role to be, because I don't take part in the ReZero community. I thought that the main thing with Stride would be that having a Stargazer on their side would be interesting, but is Stride out there? No, you have to have regrets, I'm pretty sure is what it was. If I recall, and I'm not gonna lie, Phase 1 and 2 is kind of a blur until I go over my notes for the videos. If you died, like, satisfied, then I don't think he can be resurrected, and Stride definitely was satisfied when he died. I don't think there's any shot that he comes back. Plus, Finks mentioned they had no Stargazers before. Why do I not remember that? I'm looking forward to making the Phase 1 and 2 video. Super speculated that now Sphinx. That's why I don't remember it. Because it didn't happen. Yeah, I should have expected the King of Thorns to be here. A little blind spot that I didn't, but oh well, happens. The man figuratively and literally imposes his own will on others to the point of his own ability to conceptualize that desire to bind others. Yeah, it's really interesting. And like I said, I feel like when I go back over this chapter for the Phase 3 video at some point, I really want to try and dig into any references between, like, Regulus Ugard and Yorna and Emilia here. I don't think they're going to be, like, massive or anything, but I gotta feel like there's something here. So that's probably something I'll look into. I'm waiting when Subaru tanks all of Ugard's thorns like a joke. Well, it'll hurt still. something that casts on the way to Garklet. Oh yeah, that's true. Oh my god, that's fire. Wait. Okay, yeah, so there's definitely something here. Okay, cool. I think it's a lot more subtle on Ugard's case. Well, yeah, it's because Regulus is, like, fucking obviously Ugard is also kind of insane, but Regulus is like very outwardly insane. I think the few star references in this chapter are also interesting, like how he refers to her. So like at the start of the chapter, the man that she saw on the hill was not looking at the stars, but in fact looking into the darkness, and now he refers to her as "Oh, star of mine." I think there's some cool stuff happening. Regulus is just like J-Dog if you think about it. True. Cool chapter though, I liked it. Honestly, the more I think about it too, the more I enjoy it. Good start to phase 3. I'll go ahead and wrap this up very shortly now because it's 9:40. It's late for a lot of people. If there's anything anyone wants to talk about in chat, though, feel free. The author is speaking at an event today. It's unrelated to ReZero. Yeah, I saw that. It's something. It's something about. Oh, I saw the tweet for like a second, and I clicked the translate button, and then my eyes glazed over. Something about. You could ask him questions about writing or some shit, right? Hi, Pyro. I think you should read the next one. It's really good. The next one is not translated on Witch Cult yet, so I will not be reading. Yeah, for those who are unfamiliar with new KV Cope, that's not even Cope. That's something worse than Cope. If you think there's going to be a key visual at a top A speaking event, that's below Cope. Just watch. Yeah, okay. What did I miss? The entire chapter. And my brief thoughts on it. I enjoyed it. I imagine that chapter 30 will probably come out like tomorrow or Monday. So if I have time, I'll stream chapter 30 on Tuesday, and it won't be at 9 o'clock at night, hopefully. Thanks everyone for coming out. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Join the Discord if you're not in the Discord. Become a YouTube member, etc., etc. If you're a Gold or Diamond member, you could watch the Phase 8 video right now. Holy shit. That's crazy. Todd Furry, true. 2 a.m. chapter streams, yeah. When Arc 8 drops the longest chapter in the series and I have to live read it, I am game ending myself on stream, by the way. Okay, bye everyone. Except for you, Gyro. Fuck you.